It's Wednesday, May 3rd, 2017. I'm your host, Sarah Mantle. We have a great show in store for you today. First up, we're going to get an update on transportation projects in Barnstable with transportation planner Steve Tupper. We'll also get grill safety tips with Centerville, Osterville, Marston's Mills Fire Chief Mike Wynn. We'll learn more about the Tour de Barnstable with Jessica Silver. She is the CEO and Executive Director of the Greater Hyannis Chamber of Commerce. And finally, we'll get an update on the budget process with Finance Director Mark Milne. All of that on this episode of Barnstable Today. But first, let's go ahead and get a look at today's top headlines. A grant from Attorney General Maura Healey will help Barnstable Public Schools enact an opiate prevention program. Chief of Police Paul McDonald says the grant will be a big help to our community.
And apparently she came to settlement with CVS and the Walgreens pharmacy, and they were able to get an award of $700,000 for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to fund prevention within the public schools throughout the state. And she's coming out to Centerville Elementary School. She's going to make that award to the Barnstable school system. I do not know exactly how much, but this is a huge step in the right direction. You know, we've always said that so much money is being spent for intervention and recovery, and this money is specifically going to be earmarked for the prevention and education, and it's going to start in the school system, which I think is a great idea. That's definitely a step in the right direction, what we have to be doing.
Barnstable Public Schools will receive just under $20,000 from that grant. Town Council will vote on the proposed changes to the town's charter. Some proposed amendments to the charter include making the town collector position an appointed one rather than an elected position, changes to clarify town council term limits, and a request by the Citizens Advisory Committee to change long-term financial forecasts from 10 to 5 years. We're going to find out more about this week's meeting during our interview with Town Council President Eric Steinhelber on tomorrow's show. Town Council meets this Thursday night at 7 in the Town Hall hearing room. Well, school start times will again be discussed this week during this week's school committee meeting. The Advisory Committee on School Start Times will present its recommendations. Also on the agenda, several students will be recognized as Superintendent Excellence Award winners. The school committee meets tonight at 7 in the Town Hall hearing room. Drivers can expect delays on West Main Street in Hyannis. The Hyannis Water Department is cleaning and lining water mains on West Main Street. That's happening between the West End Rotary and LaFrance Avenue through June 15th. Work will be done between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. Temporary lane restrictions are probable at times. Motorists are advised to seek alternate routes to avoid that construction area. Up next, we'll chat with Cape Cod Commission Transportation Planner Steve Tupper. He's going to tell us about the recently released Transportation Improvement Plan. So, Steve, thank you so much for joining me today. A very important plan has come out, the Transportation Improvement Plan, also known as the TIP. This is something that comes out every year, and it sort of gives us an idea of what road projects are coming up. Tell me a little bit about this year's Transportation Improvement Plan.
Sure. Much like many of the towns are going through the capital planning project, this is, in a sense, a transportation capital plan that covers the next 5 years. Some projects that people may recognize that are currently under construction would be on Route 28 at Bierce's Way, so significant improvements there, a much better operating signal, and then pedestrian accommodation bringing you to the Cape Cod Mall. And then coming up in the next couple of years, another major intersection, Route 28 at Yarmouth Road, right at the corner with DJ's Wings, Cam Appliance. That's one of the worst bottlenecks in the town, one of the most critical intersections in town. So that'll be coming up in the next couple of years and be a good improvement.
Now, does the Transportation Improvement Plan have a proposal for the area, or is it just saying, okay, we're going to focus on this area?
So it works from a much larger plan, the Regional Transportation Plan, where I identify the regional priorities, and then through the Transportation Improvement Program, we identify specific locations where the funding should be focused. We get about $20 million a year split between roadway and transit projects, so we try to identify the highest priorities for that
and
funding.
As we've talked to Glenn Cannon about how that sounds like a very large number, but it doesn't necessarily go as far as we'd like it to, because road projects can be very pricey projects.
Exactly. That Route 28 at Yarmouth Road intersection project is just shy of $10 million
Wow.
for one intersection, so that's gives you a sense of how much each project costs, or how little we can actually do each year.
Right.
And there's a lot of need out there, certainly.
There is, and this, of course, is spread between all 15 towns on Cape Cod. So
Correct.
everyone's sort of fighting for resources there. If someone, this has just been released, if someone wanted to read it over and see what was included in the Transportation Improvement Plan, can they view it online anywhere?
Absolutely. So the process for this document is it goes through the Metropolitan Planning Organization, the regional decision-making body on these. So we presented at each public meeting, and at their last meeting, they voted to release this document. So it can now be viewed online, capecodcommission.org/MPO for Metropolitan Planning Organization. Public comment period is open until May 15th, and then we'll be reviewing and look for final approval of the plan on May 22nd at the meeting of the Metropolitan Planning Organization, 1 p.m. at the Cape Cod Commission offices, 3225 Main Street in Barnstable Village. If people are interested, they can come there and learn a little more and comment as well.
Do a lot of people provide feedback?
On specific projects, when you really start to talk about things that are in people's neighborhood, they get interested. So we generally get a strong community feedback one way or another if there's something that's going to be impacting their daily lives.
Wonderful. And how long do people have to submit that public comment?
So it was a 21-day public comment period, started at the last meeting. It'll close on May 15th, will be the close of the public comment
Wonderful.
period.
Great. Thank you so much for that advice. Very important. And of course, can't forget the MPO meeting, May 22nd. That's where everything will be finalized.
Correct. And all the information on this, again, capecodcommission.org/MPO, has all the meeting dates, all the documents to review.
Wonderful. Perfect. And then, of course, let's want to talk about something maybe a little bit more fun. Bay State Bike Week is coming up. That's happening May 13th through the 21st. What is really the purpose of Bay State Bike Week?
Bay State Bike Week, sponsored by Mass Department of Transportation, is really to remind both cyclists and motorists how to safely navigate the roads on a bicycle. So we make sure that we remind them about things simple as wearing a helmet, to lights on the front and the back at night, to how to navigate the roadways and how to safely interact with motor vehicles.
Right. It's so important, especially here on Cape Cod. We know so many people come. They want to get out on their bikes. It's such a beautiful place to ride, but making sure that, and I like that you're including drivers here in Bay State Bike Week, because it is a great reminder for drivers that cyclists, you're sharing the road with cyclists, and to keep your eye out for them, because we know there could be some narrow, curvy roads here on Cape Cod, and everyone's going to be heading out on their bikes, so really good information there. There are some events for this week to celebrate Bay State Bike Week. What kind of events are planned?
So there's a whole host of events. Everything is posted on baystatebikeweek.org, but specifically on the Cape, we're co-sponsoring a series of bike safety promotions. So we'll be out there handing out free bike safety gear that everyone who comes out. So there'll be one on May 15th in Orleans at the Rail Trail at Main Street. On May 16th, we'll be over in Dennis at the Rail Trail in the vicinity of Route 134. Obviously a large expansion project right now, so that'll be interesting for folks to see. And then in Bourne, we'll be at the Cape Cod Canal Bike Path the following day on the 17th. All of these will start at 3 p.m. Try to ride there if you can. If not, we're happy to take people any way they get there. So
exciting. Can't wait. Well, thank you so much, Steve, for dropping by, telling us everything we need to know about the Transportation Improvement Plan and, of course, Bay State Bike Week. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
My guest today is Steve Tupper. He is the Transportation Planner at the Cape Cod Commission. It's springtime, and that means many of us are ready for grill season. Fire Chief Mike Wynn has some important grill safety tips we should remember before heading outside. So, Chief, thanks for joining me today. Sure. Very excited that we're finally here in springtime.
Yes, ma'am.
That means we're going to be pulling out our grills, maybe getting back outdoors. What should we be thinking about before we head outside to use the grill this season?
Great question. Thanks for coming, by the way, and thanks for coming to Fire. I think it's important for folks to remember that when you're grilling to keep safety at the front of your mind. Grills can be very convenient for cooking, and they're fast, they're quick, they produce a lot of heat, but there's some dangers that go with grilling outdoors. Specifically, we always advocate that folks keep the grills off of any decks or patios if possible. You can use them if it's a first floor deck or patio and there's an exterior stair, but we really recommend you use them off of a deck because that keeps them away from the home. We also recommend that you keep the grill 10 feet from railings or eaves of your house or a garage or an outbuilding, and then also tree limbs overhead. Grills should always be started with the lid open, never with the lid closed. And if you ever smell gas prior to the ignition of your grill, you think you have a leak, you should search that out before you continue with your cooking.
Well, really important things I don't think I had thought about before.
Sure.
I think I see so many grills on the back deck.
There's a lot of grills on the
Right?
back deck, and by code that's allowable. They can be on a ground floor or ground level deck or patio, as long as there's an exterior stair that gets you off of there, another way away from that grill. But what I see is when you put them on your deck, it makes them closer to your house, because most decks are connected to a home, and then you run the risk of having that grill have a problem with the house. So
Yeah, and we know how quickly fire can spread.
very, very quickly, super, super fast. And a grill was a great ignition source for a fire next to a house.
Great. So check that connection. If you smell any gas, make sure you don't have a leak.
Sure.
Start the grill with the grill cover open.
Always.
And keep it away from the house, and make sure you don't have any awnings over top.
Sure,
Very
exactly. We even recommend if you don't grill year round, like at my house, we grill year round, and we'll shuffle outside with a winter coat and boots on if it's snowing. But if you don't use your grill year round and you're firing it up for the first time of the season, you can check for leaks very simply by just spraying a soapy water, kind of a concentration mix on the plumbing that goes with your grill, and see if there's any leaks before you ignite it. And that works really well in identifying
Now,
leaks.
how would that identify a leak?
It would make a bubble.
Really?
Yes, it would make a bubble. As soon as you turn the gas on, if there was a leak, the soapy water would bubble up in the vicinity of the leak.
Interesting.
Yeah, it works very well.
Wow.
Yep. So if it's been in storage and you haven't used it for a while and you're connecting it to your LP gas container, that's a good way to check for leaks. It's just soapy water on all of the plumbing that goes with the gas.
Wonderful. Not to put you on the spot, but
Sure.
also people are heading back outdoors. They're getting outside. They're heading to the beach. Anything they need to think of as far as safety when it comes to water?
Sure. I would always try and use the recreational facilities that the town has here with the lifeguards. Patty at the Lifeguard Services, they do an outstanding job in providing safe areas for folks to swim. Always pay attention to the signs that they put up stating the weather conditions and the tide. Always listen to the instructions given by lifeguards if you're on a supervised beach. And if you have small children, always keep an eye on your children. That's really the best way to be safe when you're on the water. Pools at home, make sure your gates are locked if you have a gate around your pool or a fence around your pool, so children can't get near your pool. And if you have the ladders, you're supposed to take the ladders out of the pool when you're not using it on an above ground pool. So.
Interesting. Great. Lots of things that we need to keep in mind as we head into the summer season.
Definitely.
Thank you so much
anytime.
for talking about grill safety as well as water safety. We really appreciate it, and
Sure.
we hope to come back in the near future.
Yeah, anytime. I really appreciate it. Anytime.
Great chatting.
Yep, thank you.
Our guest today, of course, Chief Mike Wynn from Calm Fire.
Thank you.
Cyclists will be riding this Sunday to raise money for the Barnstable Land Trust. We're going to learn more about the tour to Barnstable, during our interview with President and CEO of the Greater Hyannis Chamber of Commerce, Jessica Silver. So Jessica, thanks so much for joining us today. A big event is coming up on Sunday. This is the Tour to Barnstable. All kinds of cyclists are going to be hopping on their bikes, and they're actually going to be raising money for a good cause. What can you tell us about this event?
Well, we were able to partner with the Tour de Barnstable. It's a great event. There's there's two rides. One is a 10-mile ride through the town, and then the 38-mile ride through each village. So that's really exciting. It's going to be a beautiful weekend for it. Proceeds benefit Barnstable Land Trust, and as you know, Barnstable Land Trust has a lot of conservation areas throughout the town, so it's great to help support them. We're really excited about it. We have over 300 riders at this moment, and we're getting ready to do a volunteer meeting, so it's not too late to sign up to ride, and it's not too late to sign up and volunteer. So we're excited. And then after the ride, there is a great little party on the Maritime property, the Cape Cod Maritime property, and there's going to be a band and some food, so it's very exciting.
Yeah, it sounds like an awesome event, and what a cool way to travel around Barnstable, to see it on a bicycle. So what a unique opportunity. And when you're doing it, you're enjoying yourself, you're having fun, but you're also raising money for a good cause. I did see, too, that all levels of cyclists are allowed to participate, so you don't have to be super experienced.
Exactly, and that's great. They did away with the elite riders this year, so it's and like I said, it's not a race, it's a ride, so there's no need to really
no pressure
try to beat everybody.
Yeah, just fun. I like that.
Exactly.
I like
Yeah.
that. Now, where you said you are still looking for volunteers and individuals can sign up. So where, if someone wants to volunteer for the day, maybe they're not a cyclist, but they want to give back and help out, where can they go to sign up to volunteer?
There's a Facebook page, and it's Tour de Barnstable. There's also, you can hit our website up, and then there is a link on Barnstable Land Trust as well.
Oh, wonderful. So lots of places you can go to get the information. Another thing I'm very excited about, and it's going to be just around the corner if you can believe it, the Father's Day Car Show is happening this June. What can you tell me about this event?
Oh, my goodness. Tons of things. We're currently working on a celebrity for our VIP reception, which is the night before, which is Saturday, June 17th. And this year we've changed that up. Usually we use Rockland Trust, their parking lot behind the bank, and Winter Street. This year we're actually going to close down a portion of Main Street from Pearl Street to High School Road. Also winter, and we're going to have a mini car show, so that's exciting.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it'll be good. It's a nice prelude to the actual huge event the next morning. So we're also doing a lot more safety measures this year. We've partnered with the Hyannis Fire Department. We're going to get some UTVs, which are similar to ATVs, and so that way if there is any issues throughout the course of the show, they'll have an easier way of getting to those people who need that assistance. There's also going to be a huge command post with them as well. We're working on a parking situation because last year we had an issue with that for the spectators, not the participants. So it's been a lot of changes, a lot of great changes, and then we're going to have the usual show where we have 400 cars line Main Street. We're looking at some really big new car sponsors to help out and bring a different flavor as well as the antique.
I just love the Father's Day Car Show. It is a tradition for so many families. How many people, on average, attend this event every year?
So 2 years ago, we had rain. Up until that point, we had about 80,000 people that come down to Main Street. Last year, the police estimated around 60,000.
Wow, such a huge crowd, and it's so fun. I think, like I said, a tradition for many families. It's time to take your dad out, go check out some really cool cars. And there's not just activities for adults. There's also lots of things to do for kids, and the whole family really can enjoy that event.
Yeah, nice family event. It's great. We're excited.
So very excited for that. Anything else you want to tell us before we wrap up our interview today?
So we also are partnering with Cape Cod Charitable Fundraisers. I'm not sure if I mentioned that in our last interview. So we're also putting on Last Gasp, which will happen in September on the 17th, and that's a ride from Sandwich to P-Town, so we're excited about that. And we're also going to be doing the Spectacle of Trees, which is also another great event, and it brings a lot of people to downtown Main Street, and it's exciting. We're really happy about it.
Yeah, lots going on at the Greater Hyannis Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much, Jessica, for joining us today. We really appreciate it and hope to chat with you again in the near future.
Thank you.
All right, talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Our guest today, President and CEO Jessica Silver. She is the, of course, President and CEO for the Greater Hyannis Chamber of Commerce. Joining me now live on the phone, Finance Director Mark Milne. Mark, a very busy time of year for your department. Of course, budget season is happening. The Town Council made it through the Capital Improvement Plan. And next up will be the operating budget. Tell us a little bit about the proposed operating budget.
Sure, sir. We have several items coming up before the Town Council on May 18th, appropriating funds for the various departments within the operations of the town of Barnstable, and that includes our general fund operations as well as 9 enterprise fund operations that we have. And our general fund operating budget for fiscal year 2018 looks like it's going to be about a $5.4 million increase over the current year FY17 budget. And so we'll be having the public hearings on May 18th, and every department will make a presentation as to their budget, and we'll address each one of those department by department.
Let's talk a little bit about the increase from year to year. Is this an increase in programs, or is this actually just an increase? As we know, costs rise as the years go by. Is this just a level funded budget, or is this increasing services?
We're providing some increases in services here to enhance the quality of life, specifically for our residents. Some of the program enhancements that we're doing include expanding the community service officers program into the shoulder seasons of the summer. As you know, last year was the first year the police department implemented that program in downtown Hyannis. It was very successful. A lot of positive feedback from visitors, businesses, and residents. So we're going to expand that program. We're going to create a civilian dispatch workforce within the police department to take the police officers currently performing those functions and put them out on the streets to enhance, again, the program, the police programs within the police department by doing so. And there's also some organizational changes to improve efficiency and effectiveness that the town manager is proposing. Some of those include taking the building services division out of regulatory services and making it its own department, and creating a new division within community services for public information and community relations.
Yeah, and important, I think, to evaluate those programs and see how they're working, maybe make some tweaks as we go through the years. So very important to sort of evaluate those departments, make some changes, and really excited to hear that they're expanding the community service officer program because, as you said, so successful. I know a lot of people will be happy that that's going to be even longer next year.
Yes, yep. So we've had so much positive feedback from that program, as you said, and so we see there an opportunity to expand that again from into the shoulder seasons to as people are coming here earlier and staying later. It'll provide the downtown business community an enhanced level of service as well, with the increase in traffic that we're seeing.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about the process. So Town Council will have its first reading, not this week of the budget, but when are we voting, and how does this process work out?
Okay, so we had the first reading last week, and they referred all these articles to the May 18th agenda for public hearings. Every department will have a public hearing. Council will open up the public hearing, provide the community an opportunity to comment on the proposed budgets. We will have an abbreviated budget document available to the general public for their review. We will put that on the website. We will hand it out at the council meeting as well. And so if we don't finish on May 18th, we'll continue those public hearings into the first meeting in June. And I would think that we should be able to finish it by then.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for taking the time with us today to tell us all about what's in the budget as well as how we can provide feedback and get a copy for ourselves. We really appreciate it.
Okay, and we'll also be updating that open budget website soon after the council approves the FY18 operating budget. We've already updated it for the FY18 capital program, and so we'll be putting in the FY18 operating budget once that's completed as well.
Wow, traveling right along, getting everything done.
You bet.
Marking off those check marks. Thank you so much, Mark. We really appreciate it.
Okay, Sarah.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Our guest today, of course, Finance Director Mark Milne. Now let's go ahead and find out what's happening around town in today's community calendar. Well, this Friday, the Cultural Center of Cape Cod will host a sober, social Cinco de Mayo party. The event is free and open to the public. The event will include trivia, some great food, and of course, great company. There will be no alcohol at the event. The Cinco de Mayo Sober Social begins at 7:30 this Friday, May 5th, at the Cultural Center of Cape Cod. Well, do you know a teen who is a budding writer or wants to take their writing to the next level? The Marston's Mills Public Library, Barnstable Public Schools, and Titcomb's Bookshop are hosting a 5-day writing conference for writers ages 13 to 19. Throughout the 5 days, students will get to explore storytelling and their own writing styles in a creative, fun environment. Registration for the summer event is now open. You can visit Cape Cod Teen Writers Conference. That's Cape Cod Teen Writers Conference to learn more, .org, CapeCodTeenWritersConference.org to learn more or to register for that conference. Here's a look at this week's board, committee, and commission meeting schedule. Well, thanks for tuning in today. We're going to be back tomorrow with another great show for you. On tomorrow's show, we will chat with Town Manager Mark Ells. We will hear from State Representative Will Crocker, and we'll find out what's on the agenda for this week's Town Council meeting with Town Council President Eric Steinhelber. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.